yarn I used. Oh no, I'm ripping out stitches. Oh my gosh. The things I do for you. Hey friends, welcome or welcome back. I'm MC. I am a knit and crochet designer and a yarn dyer from Connecticut, and I had an idea of something that I want to show you. So I'm sitting down and I'm recording this video with very minimal planning. So we're gonna see how it goes. I have had a lot of people ask me recently for some behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of people have specified that they want behind the scenes, knitting, crochet, designing, and then some have specified that they want yarn dyeing, but some didn't specify at all, and so I'm just going to show you all of it. And I have found myself in the middle of a designing journey, and I thought, hang on, let's pause for a second. I want to take you along with me. So we're going to talk about my design process, and I'm going to try and take you along through things with me, and we'll see how it goes. Firstly, I do want to mention, if things seem a little bit different, a couple of things. One, I am filming today on a different camera than I usually do because I will be traveling for quite a bit of time coming up soon, and I want to take this camera with me, but I need to learn some new things and relearn some things, and I'm just kind of practicing. So sorry if the quality sucks at any point. I'm going to do my best. But also, I am pre-filming this quite a while before it will go live. So, at some point in the future, I might have shorter hair or longer hair or be tan or whatever. And you might be thinking, MC, what the heck is going on? Things are being filmed out of order. So let me pull up my information and let's get designing. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Today, we are going to be starting to design a pair of socks. These are my Percolated Socks DK version, and I decided that it would probably be a good idea for me to do a design video like this with something smaller, simpler, like a pair of socks, rather than a garment, just because it's probably going to be easier for you to follow along, and it's probably going to be a lot less information for you to try to absorb. So, I, as you can see, have already started these. And obviously, if this was a whole design process video, I wouldn't have started them yet, but I just came up with the idea. But the thing is that I have gone a little bit rogue with this design process, and I haven't done some of the things that I normally do. So I want to go through my second sock in the actual way that I would design something, because I kind of screwed myself on some stuff, and I'm gonna go back to basics and do the second sock in the way that I normally would, because I have been bad about taking some notes on things that I have been doing. So how do we start a design process? Well, the first thing, obviously, we need an idea. We need a concept. So sometimes that idea comes to me just because. Sometimes something just pops into my head. Sometimes I'm seeing someone walking down the street and I really like the shaping on something that they're wearing. Sometimes I see an ad or someone wearing something on a TV show and I think it's really cool and I want to create something like that. Or sometimes sorry, there's 3 on my face. Sometimes I just realize that there's maybe a hole in my closet for a certain type of thing and I would really like to make it. You never know. Inspiration comes from everywhere, but the first step that I usually do is write it down. If I don't write it down, it's gone forever. So here is what I use to help me organize all of my thoughts and ideas. One, I use the app called GoodNotes on my iPad. And what I will do is I can sketch things out there if I do want to sketch. I don't always sketch my ideas ahead of time, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I have a certain stitch pattern I want to try and figure out, or sometimes there's a certain design element I want to try and sketch it out ahead of time. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. And I do also have just some ideas that maybe I've sketched out and I'm just not ready to work on them yet. And so those designs, ideas live in my GoodNotes app on my iPad. But for where I write things down, I use Notion on my laptop. You can also use it as an app on an iPad or tablet of any kind, on a desktop, on a phone, whatever. But I pretty much always use it on my laptop. I have the app downloaded. And I have shown Notion here on the channel before. I use it for everything. I write everything down in there. So I have a whole design database with all of my ideas. And I can also, if there is a picture associated with my inspiration, either a sketch that I've done or a screenshot I've grabbed from somewhere or whatever, I can save that into my Notion as well so I don't forget my ideas. The only other programs that I use, which we do not need yet, but since we're talking about programs I use Google Sheets for any spreadsheets and math that I need to do. For socks, I don't need to use Google Sheets because there are only 3 sizes that I do, and I can do that math without a spreadsheet. For garments and things, they are absolutely necessary. So I use Google Sheets for that. And then I also use Canva for writing all of my patterns and schematics and things. So that is what I use for all of my programs. And we will get to the Canva part of it a little bit later in this video if I remember to do that. Hopefully I don't forget to talk to you about it later on. Okay, so the next part of designing would be gauge swatching. And I don't always do that. I do it a lot, but I don't always. So for something that I know what my gauge is, for instance, I am working on 2 different crochet items right now. One is a dress, one is a tank. They have different shaping, they have different designs, but the gauge is the same and I'm using my yarn. Yes, technically, if I'm using a different color, I should gauge swatch because it will be different. Could be different. But I don't always do that because I'm using the same gauge, I'm using the same hook. I will just start and I do check my gauge before I get too far along. I do check it and just make sure that everything's on track. It has gotten me in trouble just once. Only once have I ever had to frog back because my gauge was completely wrong. So, but if I am using a new yarn, if I'm doing a stitch pattern that I haven't done before, if I'm doing any kind of new technique, shaping, whatever, I will swatch. But for these socks, I did not. Because, well, I didn't feel I needed to. I did check my gauge after I got a little bit into it. I did double check to make sure that I'm on track, but I did not swatch ahead of time. And let's see, what other thing do we need to talk about really quickly before we get going? Okay. I wrote down a very quick list. So the other thing that I often don't super care about, it very much depends on the type of thing that I'm doing, and that is my yarn usage. So for instance, for this, my C Street dress, I'm going to make this all in the same colorway, and so therefore I can finish the whole dress and weigh it when I'm done, and then I will know exactly how much yarn I used. Oh no, I'm ripping out stitches. Oh my gosh. The things I do for you. The things I do for you. Anyway, so I can weigh the whole thing when I'm done and I don't have to worry so much about weighing skeins as I go. But if I were to do something like, for instance, this sweater that I'm wearing, I held a fingering weight yarn with a lace weight Surrey yarn. And so therefore, if I really want to know the accurate yardage, I will weigh each skein before I work it into the garment. Same thing if I was doing something with contrast ribbing or something like that. For these, I have been weighing my yarn just because I want to be cautious of my yarn management and make sure that I have enough left over for my second sock. I confidently can say that I'm good with fingering weight yarn to get a pair of socks out of it, but DK and worsted weight is a little bit more, you know, tricky. I have slightly larger feet. So I just want to make sure I'm okay. So I have been weighing this as I go along, but I would say generally for something like this, I probably wouldn't need to. I would just weigh the socks at the end when I'm done. Okay. That's all we have for right now. I'm going to finish off this sock because I only have one toe left. I'm at the toe. I only have one toe left on this sock. Yeah, there's only one toe. So I'm going to finish off this sock and I'm going to come back for another talk, either later or at another time, so that we can talk about actually starting my design process from the beginning and what I would do first. So things are not going quite as expected. Sorry, I just ran over some stuff. So sorry about the noise. Basically, the last time I was here, oh, Shandy's coming. Shandy's a coming. Hi. Yeah. You want to say hi? Can you get your nose in here? Can you get your nose in here? Come on. Can you get your nose in? Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. Come on. Mama doesn't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Let's go. No, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Shandy doesn't want to say hi to you. Sorry. Anyway, so I had said last time I talked, that I was trying to do, I think I said this, I was trying to do a different sock size. It didn't work. I mean, it worked, but it doesn't fit my foot right. So there's nothing wrong with the pattern or the math or any of that stuff, but you know, I want a sample that I'm going to want to wear and that fits me, and I didn't feel like making a sock for someone else. So I decided to rip it out and start over again. So like I said, that's not really like a part of the pattern design process. I mean, if I was designing a pattern and the gauge was off or not what I wanted or something wasn't working, then yeah, I would rip back and redo, which I have had to do before, but that's not the case in this. Like, the gauge is still fine. The math is still fine. The sock is still fine. I just didn't like the way it was personally fitting my foot, so I decided for my sample I wanted to make a different size. So that's the only reason that happened. But anyway, I got myself caught up part of the way to where I was on the first go around. So here's basically what has happened. I typically try to do, sorry, I'm pulling up my list so that I can make sure that I don't forget to say anything. Where is it? What am I looking for? There it is. I try to do some basic math ahead of time. So for socks, I don't really need a spreadsheet. I don't really need to do much math. I mean, there is a gauge of stitches per inch, and then there are very standard average stitch counts for socks, for fingering weight socks, for DK weight socks, etc. So I don't really have to do the math. But normally what I would do if I were doing a garment or something that might involve more stitch count changes and stuff like that, I would do some basic math to start with. So for instance, I would say, okay, I know that I want this to have 2x2 ribbing, and therefore I want everything to be in a multiple of 4. Or I want this to have 1x1 ribbing, and therefore I want everything to be in a multiple of 2, etc. Something like that. And so I would start out with, okay, I want it to be top down. So at the neck, I'm going to have this many stitches for each size. That's the multiple of 4 I'm looking for. And at the hem, I want it to have this many stitches for each size, the multiple of 4 I'm looking for. And then the stuff in between, I can tweak as I go if I need to. So I'll do some like, get the math down on the page and know what my end goal is. And then I will go back and piece by piece, part by part of the pattern, I will do the math, I will write the pattern, and then I will knit it. So for instance, for the socks, I did the math in terms of deciding that I want to use the standard circumference for, or stitch count for DK weight socks that most patterns use. So I decided on that, and then I wrote the pattern instructions for the cuff, and then I knit it. Then I wrote the pattern instructions for the leg, and then I knit it. Then what you missed off camera is that I did the math for the heel flap, wrote that pattern, and knit it. So the heel flap is just cutting the circumference in half, so I didn't really have to do much for the math for that. But I decided these socks have a garter stitch heel flap, so I wrote the instructions for that into the pattern. Like I said, I used Canva for all of that, so I wrote that into the pattern, and then I knit it. And now I am at the heel turn. So I just did some wild math on this in this notebook. This looks like absolute gibberish. There's just like tick marks everywhere and circles and numbers and things scratched out. And sometimes that's just how I have to do it. Most of the time I put things into a spreadsheet, but sometimes I just have to like write it out and see what it's going to look like, because for some reason my brain was not. I needed the visual of how the heel turn works, because if you've ever done a heel turn before, it's a little bit of magic. So I have those numbers figured out, and then I just put them into my pattern. And so now I am going to knit it up. And then we're just going to keep going in the same exact way. Honestly, really, like, there's no true math that needs to be done for the rest of the pattern, because it's just going to be instructions for creating the gusset. Once you finish the gusset, your goal is to be getting down to the same number of stitches that you had at the original circumference. And then stitches for the toe is just cutting it in half so that you have your, front needle and back needle. So there's not much math that needs to be done, but what I will continue to do is write the section of the pattern, knit the section of the pattern, write the section of the pattern, knit the section of the pattern until I'm done. And then once that is done, I will be able to use my second sock to just follow the pattern and make sure everything is the way that I want it to be. So I'm going to get moving along with this. I have some yarn cooking, so I wanted to film this really quickly while that was going, and I have to go check on that. Then I'm going to come back and get this heel turn done, get the gusset picked up, or the stitches picked up so that the gusset is set up. And then I will be able to, have this as on the go knitting for whenever I need it. So I'm going to go do that, and I will talk to you soon. This is, wow, should I make mitts? Ooh, look at that. That would be so fun. Like a little mitt with maybe some garter. That would be really fun, right? I don't wear them, but ooh, that would be so much fun. Okay, anyway, that was a tangent. I'm gonna go and get knitting, and I will check in with you when it is the next part. Wow, when it is time to take you through the next part of my design process. Bye. The socks are done. I finished both of them. So here's what has happened since the last time we spoke as far as the design process goes. So I finished my first sock. I had ripped everything out, tried again, finished my first sock, followed the pattern for myself for the second sock. While that was happening, I had this pattern out to my tech editor to take a look at things. That came back with basically no notes. I had one typo, which, there's not a whole ton of math and stuff involved in socks, especially ones that don't have cables or anything like that. So I wasn't expecting huge notes. So that is good. Got that fixed, put out a tester call. And then, so basically what happens next is I have to put out a tester call, wait a few days for people to apply for the test, and then review the people that have applied and contact them and set up the chat and all that kind of stuff. So this time around, my setup process took a little bit longer than usual because I am moving from doing my tests on Slack to moving to doing them on Discord. So it took a little bit longer, more setup and stuff, just because I was setting up a whole new Discord server. I don't think I mentioned before in the programs that I use Google Forms for my tester application and for their feedback forms. So that's pretty easy. I can mostly just like copy an old form, add in the new information, and we're good to go. So that doesn't take very long to do. But basically, all told, everything that I've done since I last saw you, computer-wise, was a little bit over an hour. Setting up the new chat, sending out the test, sending out a newsletter with the link to the test application, reviewing the testers. I have a couple of testers that want to just email stuff to me rather than using the Discord server, which is okay. I'm not going to punish people for not wanting to have another app on their phone. And these are like tried and true testers that I love, so I'm happy to work with them. So that was like sending out a couple of different emails to, people to set up the Discord chat, people that want to email me, finalizing a hawk just flew by. Finalizing the pattern. I just gave it one more read through before sending that PDF to my testers. And what else have I done? Nothing. Oh, I had to create the feedback form and set up a draft of the pattern on Ravelry, which doesn't require much. But so yeah, basically all told, computery things was a little bit over an hour at this point. It will take a lot longer moving forward towards the end of this process on my computer. But for right now, especially something small like socks, it took me a little bit over an hour to get the test up and running and going. And so now it is in the hands of my testers and we are ready to go. And I am going to work on making a fingering weight version of these socks. I already have the pattern like done and everything, but I want a pair. I made one for Joe and I want a pair for myself. So, yeah. Did I show you what these look like up close? They're so good. They are so good. I love them so much. Can't wait to wear them, although it's getting a little bit too warm for DK socks right now, but I'm going to make my fingering weight version. And so yeah, I probably won't talk to you for a little bit because now I think I have 5 weeks of testing. I can't even remember what day it is. Yeah, I think I set up 5 weeks of testing and I'm only asking my testers to complete one sock. So yeah, now we wait. We make another sample if we feel like it. And we wait and we check in on Discord and answer any questions that they have. And then we wait and I'll keep you posted on what happens next in this design process. We're in Hawaii. Welcome to Waikiki. We are currently standing on our little balcony thing, and I'm wearing a mic so that hopefully the traffic noise is not so bad. I'm really hoping it's not, and we won't know till later, so we'll figure it out. Update on sock stuff. Oh, I just dropped my yarn on the ground. It's fine. I have started a second sock. So basically, where have we been since the last time we spoke? I got a test started, and then I just cast on the other day a sock for myself. This is the fingering weight version, and I had wanted to make this to begin with, but I have some testers, most testers actually, are having some questions about the heel flap and gusset because things get a little bit funky with this because you are going to be turning it inside out at the end. And it's kind of one of those things where like it makes perfect sense in my head the way I wrote it down, but like obviously I'm the one that wrote it, so it makes sense to me. And the whole point of testing is for things like this, for people to tell me, MC, that doesn't actually make sense, or like it does, but it took me a second to get there. So I am going to be taking some pictures of this. I've already adjusted the wording a little bit.
I'm very grateful to my testers for their patience, and most of them figured it out on their own. But I'm grateful to them because I got really, really sick right before we left. So I've been a bit behind on things. So I'm grateful for them and their patience. But I am going to take some pictures of this sock as I go along to kind of help with that clarification in the pattern. So I'm gonna have to like rework the pattern a little bit, just the formatting of it. I think we're gonna have to move some stuff around so I can fit the pictures in there, but not a big deal. So I'm a little bit more than halfway done with the leg of this right now. So I'll probably finish up the leg today, and then I will be able to get the pictures. I might even be taking pictures on a tray table on the plane and putting them in the pattern. But you know what? That's okay, because tomorrow we head off to the Big Island, and yeah. So I just wanted to give you this little update on where we are in the testing process, the pattern design process, how things go, how we respond when there is an issue. Normally, I would try harder to move faster than I did this time. And again, to my testers, I'm super grateful for you and I appreciate your patience. But yeah, that's where we are. So now we just cruise through the rest of this test in paradise. Bye. Hello, really quick check-in. We are now on the Big Island. We are in Kailua Kona, and well, actually today's our last day here. I have finished my heel flap. Oh, you can't. I'm like not even remotely. Okay, hang on. Let's adjust this a little bit. Hey, that's a little bit better. I am done with my heel flap and my heel turn. I'm about to pick up for the gusset. I've been going a little bit slow so that I can like take some pictures as I go. We're gonna do some wandering around and grab an early dinner, and then I think I am going to pick this up and get it situated, get the last bit of pictures taken that I need to, so that I can get the pattern updated, and also then when we're on the plane tomorrow, I can just kind of cruise through the gusset and get this thing done. Yeah, that's it. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Figured while we were here in Kailua Kona, I would do a check-in and say hi. Yeah, things are going pretty well. My testers are, I'm pretty sure just about all of them are done at this point. They're getting very close to being done. A lot of them are done with the full pair of socks, not just one sock. So they are going faster than I am. But that's okay because it happens. Sometimes you get sick, and sometimes you go on vacation, and sometimes you just you can't work on your sock that much. But anyway, they are doing great. Test is coming to a close. Actually, there's like 2 weeks left. 2 weeks of the test left, I think. So everything's going smoothly. I will check in with you when we are on Maui tomorrow. Bye.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Maui. I really, really, really wanted to film for you outside, but they are currently mowing the lawn, and that's just not the like tropical paradise vibes that I wanted to give you. I would basically have to adjust the audio when I was editing, and you would hear nothing. You would miss the sound of the waves and the wind in the palm trees and all that stuff. So let's take a pause right here, and I'm going to insert a clip of my view here on Maui with some vibes for you. Ready? Here we go. Hilariously, I just paused in real life for like an extended amount of time. I didn't actually need to do that because when I edit videos, I can put in as much as I want. I need to actually pause. But here's where we are in our trip in our socks, in our designs, etc. I have finished my first sock in fingering weight for myself. I got all the pictures taken that I need, and I have not cast on the second one yet because I was working on some other designs. But I got this one done. So I can at least add in all the pictures that I need into the pattern. And the test is, as I'm filming this, I believe the test is coming to a close in the next couple of days. So I need to get this edited and up and uploaded and whatnot before before the test is done. So it's wrapping up. Everything's going just fine. Everybody's doing great. All the socks look good. So basically what happens now is, one, I finished my second sock, so I have a complete pair. But two, and more importantly related to the test, oh, I just remembered hang on, I need to adjust something on my camera, 1 second. I forgot that I had put a filter on my camera, and it was basically like my camera was wearing sunglasses because it's so bright here, and I forgot that when I'm inside, I don't need that on. So what we do in terms of testing is, obviously I wait for my testers to finish. They will submit their feedback. I then review all of the notes. If there are any important things that I need to then add into the pattern, I go do that. I, absorb whatever my testers have to say and implement whatever I need to. And then do any final checks of the pattern. Read through things, adjust any formatting that I need to, whatever I have to do to get the pattern ready to go so that I can download the final copy of it. That is, at least an hour of time, something for the socks where I had a smaller testing group. There's probably not as many issues or notes as would come up during a larger garment. Then that's at least an hour. Sometimes it might be longer, but usually lately things have been going pretty smoothly for me. I don't want to jinx anything, but I would say an hour to 2 hours of prepping things for like really finalizing the pattern, going through all the notes and stuff. Then I have to get everything set up on Ravelry, which is such a long process. It's so annoying and long and tedious, and it could be improved. The process could be improved, but you know what? It's fine. It's the way it is, and I will keep doing it. But it's probably my least favorite part is getting stuff set up on Ravelry. But so then I have to do that, and then there's things like setting up a newsletter to go out for the release, posting on Instagram if I share any tester pictures, if I share my own pictures, setting all those things up. But yeah, that's all that's involved in the setup, is lots and lots of tedious behind the scenes stuff. And then we're ready to go. Oh, sending the final copy to my testers. That as well is something that I do after it's released. And everything's good. That's pretty much like the last step of closing out the test for me, is sending the pattern to my testers. And that's it. So the Percolated Socks, both fingering weight and DK, will be releasing, I believe, 1 week after you are seeing this video. So if you are interested, keep an eye out. Go follow me on Instagram so that you don't miss the release. And again, I want to say a big, big thank you to all of my testers. I don't know if they are watching this, how many of them might watch me. It is totally okay if they are not here. But I'm just sending a big thank you out into the universe for my testers because they are wonderful. And that's all we got for today. So make sure you give this video a like, go subscribe if you aren't already. If you want to see me show you my design process for a more complicated pattern or a garment or something like that, let me know, and I'm happy to do so. I just thought the socks were a good place to start. So until next time, take care of you, and I will see you later. when I'm home. Oh, I don't want to go home. Bye.